Hello again. So we're back with another video blog, and this one all has to do with media bias. Um, Media bias is something that we see everywhere in newspapers and magazines and video and interviews all over. So I found two that I thought were fairly interesting and presented really strong examples of media bias. So the first one was called CNN wants this video banned. See why. This whole video is almost like a video to show how mainstream media has its own agenda, and how there's a lot of media bias, especially in this particular clip. So this clip, after watching even just a few minutes of it, I found that it was an example of partisan bias. The reason that I think this is because, the interviewer, the host of the interview, was, interviewing these people from the Tea Party, and obviously you could tell that she disagreed with their views because she wouldn't let them talk about their things, while the people there were very they were there to endorse what they thought, to speak their minds. This woman, definitely had her own recommendation on what you should believe, and thought that what these people were telling the media was wrong. So she just walked away, So it wasn't her deliberately saying, "This is who I want you to vote for," but, her actions spoke very loud. So while I think it's partisan bias, I think, it could also be propaganda bias because, while it wasn't deliberately put straight out there in the beginning, you could tell that's what it was, but she did make some comments later on that made it very clear to me that, she did not agree with what the people she was interviewing were saying, and she thought that her viewpoint was the correct or right point that people should acknowledge. So that's the first video. The second video I found was a clip of a Fox News segment. It's called "Romney Was Spectacular. Media Biased in His First Presidential Debate. Ann Coulter Weighs In." So obviously, after we went through the PowerPoint in class, and we did see an example of Ann Coulter, and we saw that she definitely has very Republican viewpoints. I was watching this, and she comes right out, says Romney was spectacular. I have always been a huge supporter of Romney. So obviously that's partisan bias, because she came right out and told everybody who she endorsed. There was no skidding around and making comments to make it seem like what she was for, but it was, she believes that that is who won this debate, which is what the video is about. It's about the one of the presidential debates, and how she feels that Romney, won, and negative comments towards the other party. So you definitely see the media biased in these two clips. Both of these clips represent exactly what we talked about in class, and all the different types of bias that we discussed. They are, some of them, while they aren't able to be seen right out there, most people can tell, because if you have an opposite viewpoint of what is being discussed, obviously you're going to have a different, opinion. So I think both of these show media bias very clearly in the clips, and you don't even have to watch the whole thing to see it. You just have to watch the first few minutes while they talk about, what they're talking, what their points are, to be, broadcast. And I think, with the way that media bias is almost taking over mainstream media, it definitely shows how people watch TV, because, or read the news, or, however they get their media. But I think biased is, it's not something that you can get rid of, but it is definitely something that will always be part of the media, because it's, you can't get rid of it. And, everyone's going to have their own opinions. So these two clips that I did watch, I do think they have a very strong, show you very strongly two examples of media bias. Thank you.